Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to Pulaski County Fiscal Court. We like to open our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, and today I've asked Bill Jones, Representative Don Franklin today is with us. I'd asked him if he'd open us up in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody would please stand and salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And I will inform you all we are continuing to ask prayers for Magistrate Jimmy Wielden. He's in Nashville. He's undergoing a treatment that requires him to be in Nashville for 2 months straight. So they've rented a place for him there, and he takes daily treatment. So keep him in your prayers, and we hope to get him back soon. He's missed, so we'll get him through this. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And first item on our agenda is approval of our minutes from our previous meeting, and you all received a copy of those. Would be any changes, additions, or deletions?
Motion.
Second.
Motion to accept the minutes, second by Ranshaw. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then in old business, I've got one item that's not on the agenda. I'll go ahead and call Bill Jones. He's with Don Franklin. He's got a presentation to give us some options on our fleet vehicles.
Good morning, everybody. So, I'm sure everybody is aware, we have been taking care of your fiscal court lease vehicles for the past 2.5, 3 years. Right now, we have a total of 26 units total that we're leasing to the county. With the pandemic and everything, this past year, we got 0 allocations from both our Chevy side or Ford side or our Ram side to give you guys any options of your leases that's up. Right now you have 10 vehicles, actually I'm sorry, you got 9 vehicles up as of 10/29 this month, and then the 10th one will be up the 16th of November. Right now I gave everybody a copy. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't yet. Sorry, John, I knew I screwed up.
Can't do anything with you, Bill.
Sir?
I broke these down, not any time frame that they're going out. I think the one that's not going out, the last one not to go out is the single Ram 2500 regular cab gas. But the Nissan van, that's the coroner's office van. Right now, the payout on that right there is the $33,809.75. That's what you guys can purchase it for at this time. That's about, from calculation on the market value, that's about $3 to $5 grand back of what you could buy it at any wholesale for. So you're buying all these back a wholesale if you need to. That little 19 Frontier, I believe we had that at the park, and then we switched that to the dog animal control has that now. Again, that's about $3,000 to $5,000 back of money from any low market value. The 19 Ram Crew Cab 4500, that's Danny's. That's where you guys are in best equity right now. That thing's $12,000 to $14,000 back of any 4500 in the country. The little 19 Ram 2500 6.4, that was actually the very first vehicle. That one was out in July. No, yeah, that one was actually out of lease in July. That one there is about $5,000 to $7,000. The 19 Ram Crew Cab on with the gas, again, somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 back of any wholesale value. And then you've got 5 Ram 2500 crew cab diesel trucks. They're every one out. These are all averages, by the way, on the 5. They're all within $1,000, $1,500 of one another. But if you wanted to buy the 5 crew cabs out at the $36,835, that's about $10,000 to $12,000 back of wholesale money. At this point, we are willing to give you guys an addendum on the lease. I guess first of all, it's our lease company. It's Don Franklin's lease company. Some of the things that a lot of people don't know, the money factor is .0063, which you turn that into an interest rate, you're paying 1.5% interest rate. So there's not, I believe, I think Carter County told me the other day, Kelco's money is right now is at 6.5%. So anywhere that you go to borrow the money for these, if you had to, you're already paying, you're only paying 1.5% on these. With the addendum, what we'd be willing to do is just extend it out for 12 months from each individual contract and have an individual addendum signed out so you can continue the lease program until we can supply you with vehicles to replenish the fleet. That also, and it's no secret, that also put it after January 1st to kind of put it on somebody else's hands if they're not satisfied with it or if you're satisfied with it. Right now, I think I told Steve, you guys were the first. Met with Dan and Steve after Enterprise called me, I guess it's 3 years ago. And I just asked them why you guys weren't doing business locally, and they said, well, we didn't realize anybody else would do the lease program. Went in, shorthanded a lease, come up with it. I think on that first unit, we saved you guys about $460 a month on the lease. Right now, I've took, just the other day from Enterprise, I took 27 units from them in 2 counties. Their lease program, their interest rates are much higher. They've got a bunch of other fluff that they put in there. We try to keep it as simple as possible, and not, as you can see, right now, if you had to, you're saving yourself money on the option. The difference between Enterprise, and I know this has been brought up in court before, the difference between Enterprise and us is we do a closed-in lease. So at the end of the lease, you've got the option to buy those out. So in this case, you can look at it, okay, well, this unit here is well back of wholesale money, so it would be a good purchase to extend it out. Or one that's not. So if these numbers all change and this market goes crazy in 12 months, we'll have to reevaluate these and see how much far back they are from the current market value. So it would give you an option at the end of the addendum. So that's pretty much, you guys can buy these out. And the sheriff's office just bought, I had 3 vehicles leased to them, 2 Tahoes and a Ram 2500. They went ahead and bought those out. One of the reasons being their Tahoes were $20,000 back of wholesale money. So they had the money to just go ahead and buy them. It wasn't, they were dissatisfied with the lease. It was, I couldn't replace the Tahoes. And in the Ram truck, it was, it was far enough back. It was $10,000, $12,000 back that they just thought it would be best for them to do it. Now, are they going to lease in the future? We've already talked about that, and they're going to go back and lease when I can get back and supply them the vehicles that they need.
Well, I'll start. I appreciate what you've done for the county and working through these leases and all that. Based on what you're saying, how we're in good shape if we buy these leases out. And the fact that we had, and I already talked to Joan about this, we have the money to buy them out and not have to continue paying interest on them and all that. And once a new administration comes in, if he wants to look at the lease program and all that, I think he'll get with you on that. But in my opinion, I think honestly we ought to go ahead and buy these out, and I've talked to, my biggest concern is a lot of these vehicles are on the lease is already over on mileage.
A couple of them are, yes.
And I don't know about the fair wear and tear factor on these vehicles and all that. So with the fact that some of these are already 50, 60,000 miles on these
I
vehicles.
think the highest one you have is like 54,000, and you've got one that's it's 52. And I understand that these guys got to drive them home during the pandemic and everything, so the miles went up. We're not gigging you guys on the miles. There's no 20, there's a 25% or 25 cents charge on miles. We've not charged you 1 cent on any of the overages because of the fact that, for unforeseen reasons, that they went over on the miles.
But in my opinion, I believe we should actually buy these vehicles out. And I think I've called you and we've talked
Yes, sir.
about that. And in the future, we may relook at the lease program, but for these vehicles, I believe the county should buy them out.
And also, one thing I forgot to mention, if we do the addendum, if you guys do vote on to do the addendum, the maintenance, which is the oil changes and the tire rotations, will continue on. The wear and tear, as far as it's always been, anything, brakes, tires, windshield wipers, things of that nature. If anything like that is, your all's responsibility, but the oil changes and tire rotations are part of the lease agreement from the beginning. That helps us keep track of the miles and everything. We started talking about this, me and Dan started talking about this a couple of months ago, knowing that they were over on miles, but one of the reasons was because we had the maintenance program, we already knew that they were over on the miles.
So, at this point, I would like to make a motion that we just buy these vehicles out and relook at the lease program getting down the road.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have any further discussion? Well, I would just add that, you weren't here 8 years ago when we started, Mark, and I know the other magistrates were, and you all remember the shape of the fleet. We owned our vehicles, and for the first few years, a new vehicle will do fine, but over time, you're going to start paying more and more in maintenance cost. And I think that was the shape we were in. We had a dilapidated fleet. We had not enough vehicles to do our job with. We were paying, at that time, well over $200,000 a year in maintenance, and half the time they were in our shop and half were on the road. And it was a bad position to be in, especially when we got that first snow and we didn't have any equipment to fight snow with. So for the first year, I think, yeah, this makes sense to do that. Second year, maybe. Third, fourth year, you're going to start seeing the maintenance add up. And I think the lease program has probably been the best program we've done for safety for our employees. Keeping them in new, dependable vehicles, for morale for the employees. Just the professional look of the county employees. And the fact that we don't have to put the money into maintenance, it's allowed us to consolidate our maintenance department into one area and not have to have a full-time maintenance at our county garage. So there's pros and cons.
And I understand.
Just wanted to give you all that to think about.
And I understand that. I'm not saying we won't lease any more vehicles. I'm saying on these vehicles right here, we're in a great position value-wise on these vehicles. And we have the money to purchase them out. We don't have to pay interest on them or anything like that. So I think on these vehicles here, we just need to purchase them out.
Right now, it's 1.5% interest, and if that will not be the case next year, I'm sure interest rates are up now. So if he's going to extend that basically 1.5% interest, I would think you'd keep it for another year and then buy them out next year, put money aside. But it's a court vote. But
One thing I did
Yes, sir.
forget to mention, right now, the total, make sure everybody's aware, the total for your 26 vehicles per year is $179,040. That's their total lease payment for every unit that you guys got.
That's jail, recycle.
That's, yeah, jail, recycle, see, jail's got, 3, recycling center's got,
5.
they've got several. That's both the Frontiers, That's the Corners vehicle. That's also the Corners Suburban. So yeah, it's right at 15 grand per month.
But like you said, if we bought these vehicles out and decide a year from now to sell these vehicles, we can make money on these vehicles, which if we turn them in on a lease, we won't get anything on them.
If you buy these vehicles out right now and you can figure that you're gonna make money, please let me know how you're gonna do it, because it's
Yeah.
that, I mean, I can't tell you what the market's gonna be.
Right.
Yeah, you guys might be in as good a shape as you are right now. You know, if the market trends, yeah, you're probably gonna be in as good a shape, but, you know, that depends on how the market is.
Yes.
Have any other discussion?
Well, I think the lease program has been great for us. I mean, I appreciate you guys stepping up and doing this, because like you said, we needed vehicles at that time bad. And I don't want to go back to where we was, to where we just run these vehicles till they're in the ground and you can't run them no more. And I like the idea of the lease program. I think it's easier on our finance for the
Absolutely.
lease. I think it's easier on our maintenance. I mean, I would like to keep the lease going, but it's whatever the rest of these guys want to do too. I mean, but if we could keep these vehicles, and that's what we was afraid of when the lease was up, that you was going to take them, we couldn't get new ones back.
Again, that's why it's our lease company. We can, you know, we can move
Yeah.
and do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Mr. Franklin's a pretty generous guy to go ahead and extend, because he understands, A, you got to have vehicles, winter's coming up, you know. We're not just gonna take these off of you.
That's what we was worried
You do have
about.
the option to buy them out, which is what we're presenting today, but we're also giving you the option to understand, knowing how the current situation is with the outgoing or incoming administration, and moving these for a year, because if you wanted to continue the lease right now, I couldn't do it. I couldn't replace a Ram 2500. You know,
That's
I
what
do.
we was afraid of.
You know, I do have 375 of them ordered, you know, to be able to replace units when they're built. So we'll be start looking in January, March, unless things get backed up again. So if we extend everything out a year from each of the contracts, that's going to put everything at least until July, till September, November of next year,
Yeah.
to give you the option on the addendum. And nothing changes. The billing cycle will just stay the same. Martin, I'll have to draw up an addendum, because it's for you to look at and sign off on and everything.
So it sounds like what you're offering is option to buy the, sorry, Ross. Sounds like what you're offering is the option to buy the vehicles, or you'll extend the lease for a year.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, what if we buy them today, and 2 years down the road, we want to get new ones? Can we trade these in on the lease program then, or?
Yes. Yes. We've had a couple of trade-ins on the leases. That's why some of these are so cheap. Not one of these that's up, but I know our big Ram 5500 dump truck, I mean, you guys are paying pretty close to what a Ram 2500 is, but we had a big trade that we put in there and split it up between, I think, 2 vehicles or something. One of them was that old red 06 flatbed truck.
Yeah.
That, you know, we took it on trade, and yes, we can do that, yeah.
Or you can push it to another year, into the year, and get a better price.
Yeah.
That, what you're running into, just don't go backwards. And what it means is that this sounds really good, but you're purchasing these vehicles when their warranties are running out.
Yeah.
And if you all recall, what did we have, 4 red trucks when we came in, Rod?
Yep.
And they put them red trucks down at the crane building. They set all from
Yep.
through the summer and whatever, and it looked pretty good. They had 5,000 and 6,000 miles on them. Well, next thing you know, big snow push, transmissions went out, engines went out. They were rusted into,
Yep.
and even though they had 5,000 and 6,000 and 7,000 miles, that winter alone was right at trying to keep going and the best we could. That's where that maintenance come from, was $200-some thousand to keep what we had.
We'll be able to get it.
And
I think of two things. I've got two issues. And this is just Joan's opinion. Joan's a girl. So look over that. Maintenance is going to go, it's going to hit Frank and Frank's people. Is he going to be able, at this point, or are we going to have to hire somebody else to keep up with that? And then number two, yes, we do have the money, Mark. I did not steer you wrong on that. But $340,000, when you're talking about that going out in one lump sum, is that going to take away the cushion that we have in case we have a problem?
Well, you said we have $2 to $3 million in carryover money.
I do, but that carryover money also, that didn't include what I had already budgeted in carry. That was not over and above what I had budgeted for carryover. That is just what we had. Now, we've already had issues come up. You know, we've always got something that happens. You know, and you even mentioned today, your words were, we're burning through it.
Well,
Well,
we're running through the,
But it doesn't matter. If we're burning through that, where do you think the money to pay that back is going to come from? It's going to come from the carryover from the other fund. So I just want I want that subject to be looked at also.
but I've already actually, let's get Frank's advice. He's the one that's got to work on them. Frank, can you come up?
See what I done?
And remember, we're only talking about.
Yeah, you
these
just hang out. There may be another
vehicles,
question for you, Bill. I don't know.
not- What's your opinion?
If they are out of warranty, it is gonna hit the shop. And I mean, we're already behind.
Either way, right? Whether we lease or
at least that's part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
not the
with
transmission.
the lease, you're just talking about maintenance, like oil changes.
Right,
But
not,
if the
not
transmission goes out and it's
transmission.
out of warranty, then we're gonna have to fix it,
Right.
right?
Either
Yes,
way.
but the situation you guys are in right now with the addendum going out, even your diesels are 5-year 100.
Right.
So motor transmission. So the only thing you guys are going to be worried about if something happens computer-wise, CMA,
Right.
that type of stuff. But most of all those, the Nissan van is 5-year 60. That's coming up, because of course, that one's coming up pretty quick. The little Nissan Frontier, it's 5-year 60. It's what, halfway through, 50, 30.
Frank, what are you seeing right now with the trend on getting replacement parts for vehicles that you're dealing with that we own?
Some's been okay, and some's like, we had one of the Dodges here a while back that we had to do emergency back order on wheel bearings. And it took us like 3 weeks to get them.
We had one set almost a year waiting on a motor. And then that 4,500 dump truck, it said, what?
It was 6 months.
6
with
months.
an accident repair, yeah. Waiting on parts.
I mean, and here's the thing, you either budget so your employees, I mean, no one really, I think, that understands the value of what our employees do and how little bit of money they get paid. And I want to tell you something, you give your employees that's got a mediocre wage, but you give them good tools to work with, they'll beat the door down trying to help you all. And I think that's where we're missing the buck, because when we came in, and I'm gonna look at Rod, because I remember he used to have to sit in the back of a pickup truck and spread salt with a gallon jug from Southern Bell Dairy. Right?
They did, yes, sir.
And hope that we get 500 miles of road pushed. Now we're pushing 2,300. And so you can take that line item in a budget, which is money in, money out, and keep good equipment for your employees that do a superb job, because they're proud to come to work for Pulaski Fiscal Court. They've got good backhoes, they've got good mowing tractors, they've got good trucks, they've got good clothes. And people look like we're going into business, not out.
Well, once again, I'm just talking about purchasing these vehicles, not future vehicles. But just these particular vehicles, I think we're in the right position to purchase them outright and not release them. If we release them, would the residual value go down, or would they stay the same?
On the addendum, the residual will have to be moved because, we were figuring on a 3-year 45,000. Now we're going to be figuring on a 4-year 60,000 basically, because I want to move the miles up so that there is no problem with the miles moving forward.
So we would lose the value of that vehicle.
Yes, the residual, to answer the question, yes, the residuals will go down, but again,
And
what's
you-
to say the
But the
market
buyout
value
would
is
too,
going to
if we
be
wanted to buy
in
them.
a year?
You buy them now, they're gonna go down by next year too.
Exactly.
Buy 'em right now.
They'll go down next year.
They're gonna go down, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, That's common sense there.
Both numbers.
Ooh, I had a common sense.
Is there any other questions or discussion?
My big thing on buying the vehicles, like if you keep them for an extended amount of time, when you're pushing snow with them, they're gonna get rust. And that's gonna be the big thing about keeping them for a long
That's right, you
time.
can't keep them forever.
And they will rust.
So what,
Where do we
What do you-
stand
I
on
think
that?
whatever we do, we're not planning on keeping them for a long time.
no,
Like,
no.
because whenever
If we
we
buy 'em,
first
I'm-
come,
that's what
our
I'm
stuff
thinking.
was wore out.
That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. I'm looking to keep these.
We don't wanna go back to that.
We need
No.
to keep them in a rotation, no matter what we do.
But if we're gonna keep them for a year and then trade them in, we might as well just extend the lease for another year and then trade them in and get.
But, I mean, the difference is, we won't, I mean, if we pay them now, first of all, we'll have value at the end for some. Because if we turn them
We'll
in, we
always
lose
have
all that
value.
extra value, right?
Okay, so
No,
that question
On a
is,
residual value
There.
situation. in the
it just
lease.
goes down.
No, in the residual, let me make sure I'm right on this. On the residual value situation, if you turn that vehicle in, we get nothing, correct?
this is a closed-in lease, okay? So in the situation you're in right now on these 10, if the lease was up, you're in an equity situation, hey, if you've got, $350,000 just laying, it might be a good opportunity to buy them. If you extend these out, as far as the residuals are gonna be changed because of the miles, who's to say what that market value is then? At the end of the lease, it's whatever the market value is. I get the vehicle back, or we get the vehicle back at the end of the lease. Well, you have the option to buy it. If you're in the situation of being above the market and you've got the extra money, but at the same time, you're losing the benefits of extending that in and taking the risk or taking the reward of what the vehicles are going to be worth at the end of the lease. Again, we're not hitting you guys on miles, wear and tear. We understand when going into it, just like on my police cars. I understand these cars are going to be, in chases, run 90 miles an hour. I understand these physical court trucks are going to be salt-driven. They're going to have rust. They're going to have dings. They're going to have damage on them. We've took all that in consideration, and we're not charging you guys anything for that. But moving forward, it's a crapshoot. But that's our responsibility. If it's a terrible situation, it's still our vehicle, and we're taking the hit on it. You guys are not.
Buy them straight out and you're gonna lose money somewhere.
I'm taking all we are taking the risk on the money.
Bill, to ask another question, let's say, just use for example, we extended the lease or so what, or we just needed new vehicles. Where would Pulaski County Fiscal Court be in the list, the waiting list? Where would we be on the waiting list to get new vehicles once they become available? Because I do understand that they're having a hard time getting them everywhere.
Well, with you guys being the
Loyal customers.
poster child for this lease program and the way, and I developed it for Pulaski County. I didn't develop it for Carter County or any,
Right.
or Fulton County, the furthest county out west.
Absolutely.
I didn't, you guys were the first, so your leases will be coming up the first. So you guys will get the priority on getting what vehicles I've got ordered.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to know too. Were we gonna be stuck in a bind?
And I know one other thing that I will mention to you, and I've talked to 2 or 3 other people, these will everyone have to be bid. So you'll have to run through.
No.
I'm glad you're telling me that, because you're
No, I discussed with my auditors.
very good.
Yeah, we already.
Yes,
Yeah, I need-
I've already done that.
I'd love to have her name, because I've had 3 other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the big questions when I go
Yes.
to propose this, is at the end, if we do decide to buy it out, and I've had 2 other people say, no, we'll have to bid them out. So that's good to know that on that
That's,
part.
that's what our auditor said.
I
Thank you.
asked.
It
I
wasn't,
asked her
state
to-
audit. It was our CPAs, but they are the best, so.
That was one thing I wanted to make sure when we first started this discussion, and I had her contacted them.
Thank you.
Let's, is there any further discussion, or would y'all like to go to a vote? Okay, all in favor of purchasing, how was the motion made? It's been so long.
To purchase the 10 vehicles outright from Don Franklin.
Okay, so all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Nah.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
We've got a split vote. Let's take roll call.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
No.
Renshaw,
Yes.
Strunk.
No.
Okay, I'll split the deciding vote, and I will vote no. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Frank.
Get the addendums wrote up and get them to you, Martin?
You can,
Or you just want a copy of it?
yeah, that's fine, on the addendum. And then you guys, I guess that'll be presented to the court for another vote on leasing for another year, continuing the lease.
Yeah, can we go ahead and vote
You can
on,
do it now with the motion and
well, I make a motion, we extend our lease for a year.
I would like to see the contract.
Second.
I want to see the contract with the residual values and stuff like that before we vote on it.
We've got a motion and a second. That's your discussion. Any other further discussion? All in favor?
No.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Split vote. Let's take roll call, please.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Renshaw,
No.
Strunk.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Bill, for getting this information for us.
Thank you, guys, very much.
All right. Next, in old business, we have listed workforce development, but that's going to require, I think, that we go into executive session, so we'll move that to the end of the meeting, and we'll take us down to new business. Before Nykirk Insurance, I have new business to reappoint Joel Wilson to the Western Pulaski Water District for another 4-year term.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Wilson, a second by Turpin. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and now we'll invite Bill Nykirk to present for our county's insurance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let Kelly pass out the stuff, then we'll talk about insurance. Last year was a high claim year with 120% loss runs. This year, it's come in at 89%, so tell you what, our rate increase is actually going to be 3%. And how do we reach that with an 89% loss runs? we were able to go back, working with Joan and Donita to look. We never know who the claims are. We can just know that there's several claimants that are over 100,000. I mean, like this year, we've got over 25,000 claims. We've got 22 people right now that's over 25,000 as we speak. That's all we know. But we kind of figured out in talking with Humana that our claims have come down because people, it's like everything else. You get sick and people we got hit hard last year. This year's not as bad, but what's going forward, we still have some large claims going out there. So they came back with a 10% rate increase. And discussing with them about, how we thought the claims were going to be coming, and thought that they agreed to a 6%. And then Kelly and I went back to them and said, look, with the history that the county has with Humana, you've been with them for a long time. We've had this plan of insurance that we can't buy anymore. It's, you all got it years ago. It's a $500 deductible. You can't buy that kind of plan with 100% insurance anymore. And that, quite frankly, I got a large block of business with Humana and said, it's time to call in a favor. So we got it down to 3. And honestly, I think that's a good price for this year because we still got some large claims that are out there going to be coming. And, in the past, we've got some no shops. I mean, this is a 3% no shops, what I got from them. But we had, I think our largest rate increase before just last year was 11%, and that was 8 years ago. So most of them's been like 2%, 3%, or no rate increase at all. So as a whole, it's been a good year. Better than it was last year by all means, but hopefully we're through the COVID stuff and we should see some come better. Begin the kind of coverage that you got, and that's the important thing, is what coverage do the employees have. It's a $500 deductible. That means if they go to the hospital, that's all they're going to be out is $500. It's 100% after that, with the exception of, it says a $2,000 out-of-pocket maximum, but that only comes in play later on. If you have an office visit, you will pay your $20 regular office visit, and you'll pay $35 for a specialist, and that's all you will pay. If you get into the emergency room, basically it says $150, but I tell you that's basically a fee to get in the hospital. That's how they do it now. You'll also be out another $500 if they admit you. Urgent care is $75. We have found, particularly in Somerset, we've got a lot of good walk-in clinics. And if you go to those because you are trying to find out if I've got the flu or not, they'll charge you only the $20 off of the copay. Where the $75 comes in, and we want everybody to understand this, is they have the ability to do x-rays in most every one of these walk-in clinics. So if I twist my ankle and I go to the emergency room, I'm going to be out $500. If I go to the walk-in clinic and do the x-ray to find out if it's twisted or broke, I'm only going to pay $75. That is a good bargain. You can't get x-rays for $75 anywhere except for these walk-in clinics. If it's broke, what are you going to do at the hospital? They're going to tell you go see your bone doctor on Monday. That's what's going to happen here. You know it's broke, then you'll know to go see a bone doctor, and it's only going to cost you $75.
And if anybody ever has, sorry to interrupt you, Bill, but if anybody ever has a question on the walk-in clinics that charge the regular office visit versus the $75, call Donita, me, or Kelly, and because I guarantee you we know all of them.
And that's one thing that we've done for years and will continue doing for years, all of our clients, but not only y'all, but we handle all the claims through our office. If you call me and, you got a $100,000 claim, we want you, I always tell in open enrollments to your employees, don't pay any claim until you give to us to look at. A lot of times there's misquotes on the fact that the government came out with 35,000 brand new codes. God love the doctors trying to keep up with all this stuff, and anybody that's in it. And most of the time we go call is just because it didn't get paid because the code is wrong. And our office find out what the code is, and we'll call back and get them adjusted. And we do that a lot. And if you've got a large claim, we'll make a spreadsheet for you so that you know exactly where you are. So it's just not you dealing. The employee doesn't have to deal with the insurance company. They deal with us. They deal with Kelly. We handle all that for y'all so that you don't have to call and get a runaround by one operator this time and a different one next time. And you never know where you are with them. And that's our job that you pay us to do by being your agent. And particularly on drugs. If you got a $10 drug, that's usually drugs that are inexpensive. But $25 drugs are all your brand names. But when you get into the $40 range, you're looking at some of the new drugs that are out or something. And like I went and got mine filled the other day, and I was like, wait a minute, I've been paying $9. Why is it $25 now? Well, they changed the formulary, right? So, well, what can I take for the $9 now? And change it over again, something. But then there's, the price for the employee, you all pay 100% of the employee's cost, the employee pays for their spouses or their children or their family rates. What we did put in years ago too is Colonial, and that is a medical bridge gap. So that means that if I am in the hospital and I'm paying $500, you all pay for this gap, which means that Colonial will give the employee back $500 that they had to pay at the hospital. So basically it's 100% insurance, they don't have to pay anything now. Or if they get certain outpatient surgeries, they get $500, or a different tier, they got $1,000 coming back. If they have a diagnostic procedure done, they get $250. If they're in that emergency room at $150, they get $150 back from the Colonial. And then, the price there is you all pay that for the employee, which is $15.60, and then again, they pay for the spouse, child, or family. So basically, your employees do have 100% insurance on most everything. Going on with the rest of it, you all have life insurance on every employee that you pay for. It's $20,000. On the next sheet,
there's no rate increase on the Colonial
yeah,
or the life insurance.
Yeah, and there's no rate increase on the dental, vision, or the on the next sheet. The employees pay this, but y'all offer it to them, which is the dental insurance, and you'll get their it's a $50 deductible. They get their teeth cleaned twice a year. It doesn't cost anything, and maximum that the insurance company will pay out will be $1,000 if you get cavities and different things, and it just got the different breakdowns there. And quite frankly, it's a pretty good price at $27.51. That's cheaper than what I'm paying in my office for my employees. Voluntary vision, which means that you're going to get an eye exam once a year and you just pay the $10. If you're getting lenses or contacts or something like that, it's a $15 charge. If you're getting into frames and contacts, the insurance company will allow you up to $130. If you want to buy a $500 pair, you'll get $130 to go with it. And your exams are every 12 months, you get one, and your contacts every year, frames every other year. You can't get contacts and frames the same year. Now, when we do open enrollment, we go through this in more detail with all the employees. I've been in business 41 years, and I know that as an employer, and I do that with my employees, it means something to them at that time, but we'll all forget it. That's why, again, we tell everybody, and we do. We have a lot of your employees, a lot of our customers. They will call us now. I'm getting ready to go get some glasses. Now, tell me again what you said before I go over there. And we also know where some places that are cheaper to go to, and like particularly MRIs, we always tell that in open enrollment. You can go some places, and I went because I'm on Medicare, so it didn't make any difference to me, but it costs $5,000 for an MRI in this town. There's another place in this town that does it for $300. It's the exact same thing, MRI, no difference. It's just where you go. And we bring it up in open enrollment and tell them how to do it. And if you're going to Lexington or something, sometimes they'll call and say, well, what do you think I need to be doing out this? We'll just give them options. We don't tell anybody where to go. We just give them options. Say this, this, and this. It changes daily. Y'all know that. Every one of them uses insurance sometime or other. The employees can also buy up to $100,000 worth of life insurance on themselves that they pay for with the group. It's their own personal insurance that they're paying for in addition to what y'all have if they want to. We offer that to them. And it's not very expensive at all. So basically that's everything that we're doing now, have been for years for you guys. We've been with you, man, a long time. Can we quote it out? Yes, we can always quote this insurance, but you'll never get the insurance, this product back. And what a no shop means is that we're agreeing to a 3% not going out to shop it. If we shop it, then that goes away. It's everything's off the floor. We're going back to the beginning and trying to find if there's some other product you want. We represent every company, so we can quote it with anybody you want to. But honestly, I want to tell you the history you all had with them and the history I've had with them. We've seen some not very large rate increases for years, for 15 years. Last year was the highest one we've ever had.
Yeah, and in looking at your all's claims historically and at the market itself, yes, this year was much, much better than last year. But because your employees come to us and bring us their claims, I have some awareness of the health history as a whole, aside from the reporting that I'm provided by Humana. And with what things are still remaining, we're not going to do anything better by looking elsewhere. Humana has, even with the awareness they have, they're willing to just go with a 3% no shop. And I really think that one thing we need to do is really commend your employees, because they have really bought into the idea of making your insurance work for you. Insurance is no good if you don't understand how to use it. So they have really bought into the idea of partnering with our agency and using us as a resource throughout the year, not just at our open enrollment meetings. We've been unable to have in-person open enrollment meetings for the last several years. We have plans to bring that back, hopefully the last week of October, and meet with some new employees that we haven't met with, and go back over everything with everybody that we've had for years. The Colonial pairs very well with your current plan of insurance. That really is a bonus for your employees, the way that those two things pair together.
I make a motion, we stay with Humana as Bill Nykert as the agent.
Second.
We have a motion by Strunk, a second by Wilson. Do we have any further discussion?
I'll bring up a concern that I hear from the employees, and that's the family plan. They can't afford to pay $3,700 a month for a family plan.
Yeah, we
That's
understand that very
by-
fully.
That's more than their salaries.
And Mark, I can answer part of that too, or not, just make a comment on it. And you've even asked us because we have done it before. We've offered other plans. They still don't want them. The ones that have complained the most, that they want something affordable, never take it.
I'm just bringing up the concern.
And I understand, and I'm just bringing up that, we had them bust their tails one time to get 4 or 5 plans because everybody was calling all the magistrates and the judge and that, and not one person took it. I mean, it made me kind of feel like I'm an idiot for asking them to go to all that trouble, and then no one took it.
Well, and for employees that are interested, we do have individual policies that we can look at that are outside of county government. That can be.
I don't think he can hear you back there. I think you might need to be a little
Sorry.
closer to the microphone.
Sorry. What I said was, we have individual policies that we can work with the employees who are interested to see if we can find something for their families that is outside of this plan. The benefits aren't the same, obviously, but we can look to see if we can find something that would be more affordable for families on an individual basis.
If that's the case, is there a way to credit that employee back the individual pay to go towards that policy?
No.
Are you talking, no, where she was discussing like for a spouse and.
Yes.
And all that, because there would be no reason why they wouldn't want ours.
No,
because
no,
it's-
no. No, the
they're
employee
not
would
getting-
remain on the county insurance, and then we would find something separate that they would pay for.
If you're saying that obviously the spouse can't pay for the insurance because it's too high, then we have options on the individual side that might help them.
Yes.
It might be a $3,000 deductible, or it could be going through CareSource, which is government subsidized stuff. But we're there to help the employees do that. We mentioned that in open enrollment to say, look,
Yes.
we know it's expensive for the
And
employees.
you all
but
allow that
of course,
payroll deducted, don't you?
Yes.
If my wife or somebody in my family is getting ready to have a lot of claims, that's still cheap insurance.
Yeah, we actually have a
But if I'm
couple.
not using it, it's very expensive. We all understand that.
We have a couple of county employees that we provide different policies for their dependents.
when
And we
you
do
have-
allow that to be payroll deducted to help the employees out.
Yes.
And when you have your open enrollment meetings, you'll let everybody know that that's.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And the last couple of years, because of COVID, we weren't able to do open enrollments. Thank goodness we're back to where we can, and it's a blessing to all of us. Okay?
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
No.
Any opposed?
Thank you
Motion
all.
carries. Thank
Appreciate
you all. All right, moving on then, we've got a road department. You've got a copy of your road work request in front of you. I don't think, unless it's in the forest, Martin, you don't have a speed limit to set, do you?
No.
Okay. So we entertain a motion to accept the road work request.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Wilson, second by Strunk. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And then for 911 call center, Beverly's got a personnel issue to discuss.
Good morning.
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 I am here today wanting to appoint and get approval for Danielle Flynn and Andrea Scales to be promoted to supervisor assistant TAC positions.
Motion.
Budget.
We have a motion by Wilson.
I think we need to table this and look into it, instead of instead of just doing it immediate. I mean, it is a supervisory role. I think we need to,
If we don't
Take
have,
2
if we don't have a
weeks.
second, it'll die from
yeah.
a lack of a second. Second. Have a motion and a second. Now we can have a discussion if you want to.
I just think we need to wait and look into it. It is a supervisory position, I think. First I heard about it, I don't know what everybody else has thought, but I think we need to look into that a little bit deeper. It's a little bit different than an employee position. This is a supervisory position. And like I said, this is the first I've heard about it. Nothing against you. But in that position, I think we just need to take a deeper look before we make that decision.
Interviews have been completed. I've spoke with everyone that's had an interest. Everyone was given the opportunity for the interest, and it was done according to our policy.
You interviewed everybody that
Was
wanted the
interested.
position. And every one of them. So how long is it, okay, well, we'll get into, how long has each person been in 911? Don't laugh. I'm asking questions.
Can you get that
Danielle?
information for Magistrate Ranshaw? I'm sure you don't have that information at the top of your head.
Danielle's been there 16-plus years. Andrea's been there, Becky, 5-plus years. Andrea has supervisory experience. Danielle has 16 years. I trained Danielle, 23 years in my profession.
And there's nobody that wanted that position with more experience than someone that's been there 5 years.
There's been people that applied for it that had more years in, but they are not qualified for the position that I'm seeking them to fill.
Okay. So the best, so does everybody know about this, that's who you're choosing at 911? And
When the position became available back in July, and then the whole debacle, I was chosen, and that was all taken away. Then the judge went on and did the interviews. It was open to every person that was at 911, regardless of how long they'd been there. They could express and could get the interview. The interview process has been done.
Okay. So you interviewed them also?
I also interviewed him, yes.
Okay, and you're okay with the decision?
I trust my supervisors, you know, they're the ones that are there day in, day out, you know.
Okay.
If they come to me and they think this is the best choice, I back them up completely on that. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Beverly.
Well,
We appreciate what you're doing over there too, Beverly.
Yep, you do a good job.
thank you.
Okay, then before we get to our treasurer, Frank has asked me to present something to court.
Frank actually asked to say something. Yeah.
He did.
As you know, we had put in 6 new storm sirens back a few months ago. Well, all those are up and running, and there are two-way systems. Well, we've got 10 old storm sirens that are not two-way, and I would like to upgrade those to a two-way system. Any thoughts?
Do you have the,
Ten.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
what would be the
10?
cost to
10.
do that?
It's gonna be almost $10,000 a piece to upgrade them.
I think that's money well spent for the safety of our
Safety of our
citizens. I make the motion that we upgrade them.
Well, I think we have to, do we have to bid them out first?
Yes, it will
Yes.
have to be bid.
Oh, we do have to bid them?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they're $10,000 apiece, and the whole purchase would be
Yeah.
over 20, yes.
So we need to advertise first.
Better safe than
Get
sorry,
motion to
anywho.
Advertise the bid.
Second.
We got a motion by Strunk and second by Wilson. Is there any further discussion?
And I don't know if this needs to be all in one deal or not, but like there's still 2 old storm sirens that needs to be replaced to be up on the two-way system. And they'll be roughly $15,000 a piece. Can we
We'll
bid
probably
it?
have to
Get
be
them all
a
at the
separate.
same time, if humanly possible. Let it do it be in one fell swoop if the court approves, would be mine,
Bid them all.
as far as the money going.
And then the only other thing that's in that would be, it'll be around almost a $17,000 part on 911's part to be able to control the two-way system.
Also, well, money well
We're
spent.
looking close to 150,000 now.
Right.
We've got a motion and second to permission to bid, or to advertise the bid. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Frank,
Right,
thank you.
thanks.
Motion carries. And now our treasurer's report. Joan?
Oh, I'm gonna have to learn shorthand. The first item I have is the bill list for this month, last month altogether.
Big bill is.
Got a copy of the bill list. Do you have any questions? Motion to approve it?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Wilson and second by Strunk. Any further discussion?
I'm still voting no because of the not approving the coroner's office.
When,
Further discussion?
When will that be ready to move?
They'll be moving in next week.
They just did all this stuff to get the electric.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Take a roll call vote, please.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Crenshaw,
No.
Strunk.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Oh, the next item would be the bank reconciliation for the month of September. And of course, I will also say that ends the first quarter of 22-23.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Strunk and second by Wilson. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Martin would like to,
Yeah, I just want to introduce the court to my newest employee, I guess, Megan Cummins. Megan, stand up. Megan's not really new to me. She's been around a while, but this is the first time I've had an opportunity to get her over to fiscal court. What have you been, a couple months, 3?
Since June.
Yeah. So she's doing a great job. She's out front where Sherry used to sit, and she'll be working on a variety of different things. So if you come over there and see us, she'll be the first face you see.
all right, well, we've put this off to the end of the meeting, but we'll need to go into an executive session because we're going to be discussing a potential purchase of property. So I'd need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Wilson, second by Strunk. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? Okay, and if you would, please, since we're going to be having a presentation to the court, and we don't have room in the smaller chambers, if I could ask if you're not part of this presentation, to please exit at this time, and you're welcome to hang around for court to resume, or you're welcome to leave at this point. Yeah, so we're going to reconvene our fiscal court. We need a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Strunk, second by Ranshaw. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, no action was taken in executive session. We do thank Benny Garland for his presentation to the fiscal court, and for Chris and Judge-elect Marshall Todd and their input into this discussion. But we will, with no further business, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion by Ranshaw, second by Strunk. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ed.